Let's talk about how to draw some things in Mathematica other than just drawing the graph of a function. So an example of something I'd like to draw is a disk, and let's get help about it by using this question mark. And usually in these helps, it's the first one that we're going to care the most about. So disk, what am I supposed to specify? It's supposed to take two inputs. The first input is a point, included in a list, and the second input is the radius of the disk. So it's not quite as easy as just saying disk, how about center 0, 0, and how about radius 3? So that didn't do much, but it's almost that easy. To get it to show up, I put it inside of the graphics function. So there we go. And if I wanted to have more of a bird's eye view of it, I could specify what the plot range is. So I could say plot range, and let's go -10 to 10 in the x direction and -10 to 10 in the y direction. And maybe it's still sort of hard to tell what we're looking at. Let's tell it to include the axes. So the way I do that is I say axes, and then this arrow with the minus sign, and then the angle bracket, and then true. So there is a better sense of it. Now let's change where the disk is centered. Let's change it to 2, 1. So there it moved a little bit. Or let's decrease the radius by a factor of 10. So let's make the radius 0.3. There is another version of the disk. And we'll talk about how to change the color from black to other colors in a later video. It'll be about using the keyword hue, H-U-E. But for now, let's just work with these. So what if I want to make a whole row of disks? How about a bunch of disks of radius 1, starting at the origin, and then all tangent to each other? How can I do that? Well, first let's see how to make two disks in a row. So say I do graphics, and then this isn't quite going to work, but it's almost going to work. Say I do disk, and then how about 0, 0, radius 2, and how about disk 3, 1, and radius 2. So that didn't work, but I was just one step away from having it work correctly. I was supposed to put the disks, this list, inside curly braces to indicate we're not doing graphics just of one thing, but of a whole list of things. Okay, so there it worked. So now that I know I make them by putting it inside a list, I can start trying to make my row of 10 disks starting at the origin and all tangent to each other. So it's going to be a pain if I have to type this out 10 different times. So how can I make a list of things very easily? I make it using the table command. So let me forget the graphics at the front and at first just try to make the table. So table, and then what do I want to go in the table? I want disks to go in the table. And let's say 0, 0, I said I want them all to have radius 1. And I want to have 10 of them. So let's go I up to 10. So that's pretty good, except I want to have them moving along the x-axis. So right now they're all centered at 0, 0, so they're all in the same place. So it's like 10 disks on top of each other. So I want to change this x-coordinate for where the center is. Let's try starting it at I, but I want it to start at 0, so instead of going from 1 to 10, let's go from 0 up to 9, so that I have 10 of them total. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now let's try making it inside of graphics. And let's see how this looks. So that's pretty good, but they're not tangent to each other. You can see that the disks are overlapping quite a bit. And so what's the problem? Problem is that I said center at 0, centered at 1, centered at 2. But if the radius is going to be 1, then the diameter is going to be 2. So I really want them to be going up by 2 each time. So let's have 2 times I. And let's see how that works. I was asking myself if it should have been 2 times I plus 1 or minus 1, but I think because we're starting at 0, this is going to work perfectly. Yep, there is our 10 disks starting at 0, 0, and all tangent to each other. And let's show the axes so we have a better sense of where this is. So I do the minus sign, then the angle bracket, then true. And let me choose the plot range a little differently. Let me say plot range, arrow, and then let me start, how about at -2 to 12 for the x direction, and let's go -2 to 2 in the y direction. And I guess I should have gone even further to the right. So let's see, what's the last one? The last one has center at 2 times 9. So last one has center at 18. So I guess I really want to go up to 19. Graphics can also work for things other than disks. For example, let's look at triangle. So triangle, lists of lists are important, and the input to triangle is another list of lists. It's a list that contains the 3 vertices of the triangle. So I can do triangle, for example, let's go 0, 0, 5, 0, and then 6, 3. Okay, there are my vertices, my 3 vertices of the triangle. Nothing shows up when I evaluate this, but if I put it in graphics, okay, then there's a triangle. Here is 0, 0, here is 5, 0, and here is 6, 3. Another one that maybe you think is going to be the exact same as disk, but it's not, is circle. How is circle different? Well, syntax is exactly the same. I tell it what's the center, how about 1, 1, and I tell it what's the radius, how about 3. So the difference between circle and disk is that circle is hollow, whereas disk is filled in. And if I want to see the axes for it, there are the axes for circle.